Good morning, folks. Hopefully the lag has passed and I'm not entering into the broadcast halfway through a sentence. Anyway, how are we all this morning? I hope you're all keeping well. Numbers are rising quickly, which is good. We'll have a wee look and see who's in. We've got Mark Delfer, Christina Mackey, Eddie Wolfie, Last Braveheart, Wolf Pet. Who else we got? Scott Hayes, Leapshin, Peter M, Mark Williamson. I see the other Davids there this morning. See John O'Rourke's in, Stephen Bankier's in, James Cunningham's in, Wee Bird's in. We'll head back in the other direction. Hey, Jim Stevens just popped in. Doug Copley's popped in. Or Doug Cope. George Ewan's popped in. Good morning, Gary. Good morning, Avro. Nice to see you all there today. Okay, numbers are rising nicely. So we'll get this one underway, shall we? Andy Truck Davy out the truck and at home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is 16 degrees, mostly cloudy. High today is expected to get to 19 degrees here in North Lanarkshire. There's no rain in the forecast, so it'll probably rain. Pollen count is moderate, and the main allergen today again is grass. Alright, so that's what the weather's like here in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. If you want to know what the weather's like where you are, look out your own bloody window. Alright, first up this morning, for some unusual reason, we have the Times. So we'll put it up and see what nonsense is in the Times this morning. And there is some real crap in the papers today, folks. And I mean that. Well, let's start with the Times. And the Times has US peace envoy heads for Gaza to see dire situation firsthand. What, has he not got a fucking mobile phone or a TV set? You don't have to see it firsthand. Pardon me, excuse me. This one cracks me up. SNP defies Trump with wind farm approval. Huge scheme gets nod days after wind farm or windmill jibe. This actually thinks we, the Scottish public, and the SNP gives a crap about what Donald Trump's going to say. I mean, we're a nation that is 100% powered by renewable energy. And we're a net exporter of energy. And we're supposed to give a shite what Trump says. We put up with a big orange man baby because he came here to visit his golf courses as a private citizen. Why were that security and fucking ceremony was there for him, I don't know. The mind boggles. But we really don't give a shite what Donald Trump's going to say about how we generate the power that we need to power Scotland. We really don't. And the fact that this rag thinks we do give a shite what the big orange man baby's got to say tells you how out of touch this rag is with the people of Scotland. Unbloody believable. So it is. Unbelievable. Next up we have a Scotsman. Let's see what nonsense this has got for us this morning. The Scotsman has anger as huge wind farm gets the go-ahead. Controversial Berwick Bank project could be world's biggest. And who's angry about this? Apparently wildlife conservationists. But as we've already stated, David and I, there would have been environmental impact assessments done as part of the planning process. And no doubt that these environmental impacts had an impact on the decision making. The fact that they've decided to go ahead tells us that the environmental impact studies says things are not that bad. Okay. Charlie Cat fan club. You could power most of Scotland from the wind that comes out of the big orange jobby. That is Two Davies. Nice one, Charlie Cat's fan club. Right. So the Scotsman tells us that some conservationists are no happy. In fact, that they're angry. Toughy. Whether the environmental impacts are correct or not will remain to be seen. Time will tell. But at this point in time, the advice says the impact won't be that great. So we'll get rid of that rag. Next up, we have the Daily Field. And here we go again. Scottish Daily Field. Nothing to do with the nothing to do with Scotland. This one, the other right-wing on the rag are published it with Scotland. Or they're owned out with Scotland anyway. Anyway, the Scottish Daily Field has anger as SNP backed biggest wind farm on planet. Does it say anger? Don't think there's much anger through the populace. Some conservationists might not be pleased, but as I say, environmental impact assessments were done during the planning process, and at this point in time, the advice is the impact won't be that great. Go ahead and build your facility. So, just nonsense. But after all, it is an SNP government that plans on building the biggest wind farm on the planet. So, that can't be done. That's naughty. Right, after the fail we have the Metro, I believe. No, should be on the right wing rag. The Express. So we'll go to the other end. And here we go. And it's got a story of a manhunt launched by police after sex assault on child in family campsite. Lock horror as boy 8 abused in tent next to parents. Now, there's a couple of things that jumped out at me in this one. And one of them is how detached this rag is for Scotland. Police launch a manhunt launched by police. Who the fuck else is going to launch a manhunt? Does this lunatic rag think Scotland's full of roaming vigilantes? Of course the police have launched a manhunt. Who else would launch a manhunt? State the fucking obvious. Now, who else would launch a manhunt? Wow. Really? Another thing that stuck out to me here is Loch horror as boy 8 abused in tent next to parents. I don't know about you, but when we went camping as kids, my mother and father had a family tent with 2 rooms in it. Me and my brother shared one, and my mother and my father shared the other. Family tents with multiple rooms are no expensive. Question that hits me is, why was this boy in a separate tent? So that's the 2 things that jumped out at me when I seen this headline. Who else would launch a manhunt? And why was this child in a tent next to the tent his parents were in? Instead of in a family tent, especially at that age. The mind boggles. And I mean boggles. Right, next up should be the Herald, and it's a cracking headline. The Herald would like us all to think or the hell would like us to think that it doesn't know how the internal machinations of the SNP or other political parties work. I'll put it up. SNP rebels launch challenge to Swinney's strategy on new Indie. Now what's this about? Well, the rebels aren't the rebels at all, folks. It's a grouping of 43 branches who wish to put an alternative before conference to stand alongside John's vision of the way forward. Now, what is their alternative? Well, John's vision is win an SNP majority because there's a precedence there that will put them under pressure to grant Section 30 order. Whether they would dare was a different fucking matter. What this other group of branches would like to put before conference is that we count a pro-independence parliament as a mandate to hold a referendum. But as we already know, we've had two pro-independence parliaments since the independence referendum, and Westminster hasn't recognised it. Westminster will only recognise an SNP majority. That's just the facts. On the 2016 election, pro-independence majority, Nicola asked for a Section 30, was told to get fuck. Now's not the time. Oh, and by the way, the Greens are not just a pro-independence party, there are other things. And the people who vote in the SNP weren't all independents either, they just prefer the SNP. That's what we were told. So we've got a group of 43 branches who want to put up a different proposal to the conference. Well, that's how democracy works within the party structure. The branches put forward motions to be discussed at conference. So this idea that SNP rebels launch challenge to Swinney's strategy on new Indie, they're no rebels. They're branches who want to put a different motion to the conference. That's how it works in party politics and party democracy. So John's going to put his proposal to the conference. These 43 branches want to put their proposal to conference. I don't see a problem with that. That's how it's supposed to work. Mental headline. Nonsense headline. Dishonest headline. Why dishonest? Because this rag knows how the internal machinations of the SNP works. That's why it's a dishonest headline. Now we'll get rid of that. Next up, we have a National. Let's see what it's got for us today. The National. Exclusive. Politicians unfollow ultra-unionist group after post calls to bomb Holyrood. The question you've got to ask yourself is, why were these politicians members of an ultra-unionist group in the first fucking place? And then, of course, we have the faces of those unionist politicians who are members of this ultra-unionist group. We have Alex Stuffed Shirt Cole Hamilton. We have one brain cell Bailey. And we have the most insignificant man in UK politics, the Governor General for Scotland. Ian Murray. Had to compose myself just to say his fucking name. In fact, he's one of the most forgettable characters in Scotland, full stop. And this is John telling us Labour's fiasco shows urgency of Indie. Swinney urges Scots to recognise damage that is being done to their country by Starmer's government, and the governments before Starmer's government, and the governments that will come after Starmer's government. And the introduction of a couple of new political parties down that road means that all hell's about to break loose. But maybe there's a chance that democracy in England will survive. Because they could be forced into a situation where they have to have a coalition to govern. And once they've had that a couple of times because of a 4-party system, 5-party system, 6-party system, then proportional representation will probably be the way forward. But it's not just Labour that's done the damage. But it was Labour that started the rapid onset of wealth inequality with the introduction of the tax credit system and the minimum wage. The tax credit system, to let you understand, folks, especially the younger people who have lived with the system all their life and don't realise what it did. Well, the tax credit system, when Tony Blair introduced it, transferred the responsibility of the employer to ensure that the employee had a living wage to the middle classes and the taxpayer. The minimum wage moved on to the living wage, which is still below a living wage, stopped wages rising by inflation, which meant that all our wages got suppressed at the same time. So the tax credit system transferred the burden to make sure those with the least in society who were working got their wages topped up by the middle classes, while the governing class and those who owned the businesses profited like fuck. It was the greatest heist ever perpetrated on the people of these islands, and everybody cheered it at the time, while some of us were trying to explain what the fuck was going on. So now corporate bodies don't have to pay a living wage. So I've got the UK taxpayer to top up their shite wages for the poorest. And then, of course, the suppression of our wages via the minimum wage. Greatest heist that ever happened. Davey, quick question. If SNP short 2 seats for majority, is it possible for another independent party to walk the floor? Yes. Yes, it is. That is possible. In fact, if they're going to hold an SNP majority and the Greens really want independence, they would all walk the flare until the Section 30 was granted and until the referendum was conducted. If we were short. But that's only if they want to prioritise independence. As we know, the Greens don't actually prioritise it. They'd like it because it would allow them to move faster on green initiatives here in Scotland, but they put the green initiatives before the independence part. That's why John's arguing that they will only recognise an SNP majority. But if the Greens really want it, then their MSPs should walk the flare and say, we've now joined the SNP. And that would give an SNP majority in that parliament, and that would give us probably pressure enough to be able to extract a Section 30 order. Right, next up we have a scum, and I don't put the scum up, and I don't put their answers up. So next up, the scum. And the scum tells us that cops arrest boy 15, e-bike lad 16 stabbed in park horror. Now apparently, the 15-year-old stabbed the 16-year-old and stole his bike in a park in Edinburgh, allegedly. Why allegedly? Allegedly? Because at every stage when I was reading this story, it's alleged that this happened. It's alleged that that's happened. It's alleged the next thing's happened. And of course, because these people are minors, they can't put up names or facts or anything like that. So, allegedly, a 15-year-old stabbed a 16-year-old in a park in Edinburgh and stole his e-bike. He was quickly apprehended, apparently, Allegedly. Okay, that's how you make a story up. Allegedly. Two minors here. Information can't be released into the public. So it's an alleged offence. Okay, what's the rancid goat? The rancid goat, the schemes Marvin drug crisis scared me to death, and I'm going straight. Reality TV's Marvin Baird has vowed to kick his drug habit. Reality TV, I have no idea who this guy is. I've absolutely no idea what drugs he's messed up in, or what drugs crisis he's talking about, or which scheme it is he's fae. I've no idea who he is. Okay, so that's the scum and the rancid out the road. And now we've got the red and blue Tory Graph. We'll get it up and see what nonsense it's got for us today. Labour bid to silence migrant hotel critics. I thought that's interesting. What they mean to say is Labour is trying to calm down the rabble-rousers who are inciting violence at these bloody hotels. Critics my arse. Rabble-rousers inciting violence against other human beings are what these feckheads are. And apparently Starmer's about to take on Sadiq Khan, a third runway for Heathrow, because the planning permission would sit with the City of London. It wouldn't sit with the UK Parliament unless they called it in. But Khan, like the rest of us, realise that building a third runway at Heathrow is counterproductive. Totally counterproductive, as we're going to have to cut back or change the way we travel because of climate change. And the bottom one, Trump wants big pharma or drugs companies to raise the price of drugs for the NHS and for other nations abroad, because apparently they're battering the Americans with high costs. But rather than demanding that they give the Americans the same cost they give the rest of us, Trump's telling them to up the prices to what they charge the Americans. Just tells you how fucking stupid that big orange man baby is. The might of America, and they can't get their act together to force down the price of drugs. So they're asking the drugs companies to put them up for everybody else. Thick as mince. The buying power of America, and it can't get its drugs cheap. That's because they're not running the health service. It's not a single entity buying huge amounts. It's all these tiny wee entities buying small amounts, so they're being ripped fucking off. But the same pharma companies, which are only ripping us off, because our NHSs stand as big organisations that are big consumers of their products. Okay, so that's that rag out the road. We'll get shot at. Okay, next up, we have the Metro. And this one is a story that relates to Scotland. Okay, and it says record Commonwealth Medal Hall. Para take centre stage at games. That'll be the para events. And apparently there is a hall of 63 medals to be had in Glasgow. 63, I don't know whether that's 3 an event, given there's a small amount of events, or whether that's the amount of goals that are up with the bronze and the silver and bronze coming down below. I don't know. I really don't. But apparently there's a record medal haul to be had at the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. There you have it. That'll be of interest to all the athletes that go on and off public transport. After the Metro, we have the Eye. So metal first, and we'll bring up the eye. And what's the eye got for us today? I hope it's a wee bit better than we've had lately. No negotiations with terrorists. Starmer defends ultimatum to Israel but won't issue one to Hamas because Hamas is prescribed, apparently, even though at one point they were a political party who were elected to govern Gaza. But remember that. Why did that happen? Because Netanyahu wanted to bring about a condition where Palestine couldn't be recognised as a state under the 1933 Montevideo Convention. It hasn't got a single government, it hasn't got fixed borders, it does have defined population, which is ever decreasing, whether you're in the West Bank or in Gaza. Unfortunately. But there isn't the ultimatum to be issued to Hamas. They're amongst the people being slaughtered to the point of extinction. So, who are you going to offer an ultimatum to? So that's a nonsense in the Eye today, and that's the nonsense in most of the papers today. They say the one in the Herald is the best one today, where 43 SNP branches putting forward a different motion to achieve our goals as a rebel group, apparently, instead of party democracy being exercised. No real. Anyway, we're shutting this thing up, so that means one thing and one thing only. It's time to have a look and see what nonsense is in the Star today. And to be fair, I haven't got a fucking Scooby. Brady slams soccer ball boss Wayne's work ethics. Who are you? So I take it Wayne Rooney must be there in America as a trainer, a football trainer. Last time I seen him, he was the size of a bloody tent. He was packing a few pounds, that's for sure. Anyway, whoever this guy is, Tom's Birmingham, a TV doc apparently, doesn't like Wayne's work ethic. No. I'm no any wiser than you guys about this nonsense about. That's it for the week, folks. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it informative. It's getting weary having to talk with us pushing the press every day and explain how poorly things are written, how people are being deceived, how these rags are trying to set an agenda, like the first four of them, anger at, an example of. Whereas the real thing should have said was disappointment by conservation groups. That would have been proper journalism. But it's no proper journalism. They're trying to rabble rouse. That's what's happening here. As I say, it can be quite tiring. Okay, maybe due a break soon. I see Super Tansky's just taking one because her mental health was suffering. Fortunately for me, I'm Gen X, we don't do mental health. So, that's it for this week, folks. Me and Mr. Milligan will be back on Monday. I'll be back in the morning and then again in the afternoon. And of course, I'll be doing the run of the morning shows next week. And David will be in the Wednesday morning, maybe, depending on whether he's busy or not. And we'll definitely be working on Thursday. Towards the election campaign hotting up, we'll up things a wee bit. Now remember, folks, tonight, 5 o'clock, Daily Bazzi's Friday Frolics, and also have a look at Reagan Elite's channel as well, and Sir Larry the Cat's channel. It's always something in Sir Larry's channel to chuckle at. And as the news is generally bad, a couple of hours on the Friday you get cheered up with Daily Bazzi and a giggle each day off Larry the Cat. It's always worth it. Here's the guys, look after yourself. See you Monday morning. 10:30. Don't be late. You're on the naughty step. Oh, hit the like button and the way out the door. And share if you would like. Bye for now.